Hello, YouTubers and all those who happen to watch. The DanVanDam and Friends podcast episode 11 is here. I hope you're all prepared. I hope you have your chairs all set and you have a beer, root beer, soda, bag of chips, something in your hands, because this is going to be somewhat of a lengthy little ramble. So, okay. Flying solo, sadly again. But hey, whatever. Gotta get these articles out. I want to discuss them. It's getting me. I have this itchy trigger finger for this. So, alright, the new Diablo expansion, which might I add, yuck, is here, and this is why I said yuck. It features an inclusion of the auction house. It has the lack of PvP. It's just, to me, like they're just throwing eggshells at a wall now. It's just, there's no substance inside the egg anymore. It's just they're throwing eggshells. And we're forced to either step on it if you like the game or not. And to me, Diablo 3 failed for me big time when I played it. And I don't feel like playing it again. Whoa, it improved. No. You gotta catch me the first time I play it. If you can't catch me the first time I play it, there's no point in me even going back into it. You know, that's my entitled little neckbeard opinion, and I'm sticking to it. You know, the end game was complete trash. And that's why I generally just overall disliked the game. It felt like all my work was for nothing, and everyone would agree. You know, you just busted your ass, and all for some other guy to go to the auction house and easily get a weapon that was 10 times powerful than anything you could probably ever farm, which most likely a Blizzard employee put on the auction house themselves, which of course they implemented themselves without even picking up the game from in-game. They just magically planted it in there, and you just bought it, they made money, and you have a powerful weapon. So it's a pretty much a buy to win at this point. While people don't look at it as that, it's pretty much how it was. It's that in a nutshell. You pretty much either had to spend some real more money. If you paid $60 for this game when it came out, oh boy, you can expect to pay 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 more to make sure you're excellent at this game. Because the Inferno at first was pretty much very unbalanced. The enemy's DPS was ridiculous. So, you know, people go, you're overlooking it. Oh, no, I'm not. Oh, no, I'm not. It's pretty much generally how it was. It felt like they put me in a situation where it was almost impossible to even farm. And if you tried to farm in the first area, you got wrecked. Even though your gear might be excellent, it still didn't matter. These enemies' DPS was crap. So they did a little patch up just before I left. So I tried out this new patch. It was okay, but then, again, the same situation happened. It wasn't because I was lacking any skill. It wasn't because I wasn't better prepared with gear. I had a lot of hit on life, so it wasn't that problem. It was the fact that the game just was unbalanced. And you know, that's a given. Every game, roughly, when it comes to some sort of MMO, there's usually checks or balances. Same with shooters, if you want to put that example out there. Has the same issue. But, again, this felt like I was doing all this work for nothing. Because if you die, you lose a ton of gold. And all that gold you tried to farm in the first place to use for the auction house meant shit. So, again, you had your dick in your hand. You pretty much were getting nowhere in this game. So, even if you had a bunch of buddies with you to play it, it became very monotonous. So for me to go into this expansion and waste more money on this title, it just feels like it's a waste of time for me. So therefore, and conclusionally, I'm not going to be buying this expansion for Diablo 3 anytime soon, and it's just something that's going to completely get pushed past my radar to focus on other things that are important. So, yeah, they're coming out with a new expansion. I don't really care past that point. I know someone's probably going to, hey, do it, because someone asked me this before, so I looked up any news for it. And it's like, I don't care about Diablo 3 anymore. I'm sort of over that bridge, so to speak. Like, I looked at the waters looked clear at first, but then I looked closer, there was a lot of smudge at the bottom of the lake, so it's just like, to hell with this. So, moving on, Elder Scrolls Online is going to have a monthly fee. Now, with monthly fees, Either they work really well, they make sense, they're practical, or they're not. With most games out there. Now, Elder Scrolls Online, Elder Scrolls, the title alone, is a beastly animal. It has a lot of bugs because it's from Bethesda, but Bethesda usually puts out a good game, just has a lot of issues because of the engine just a little too ahead of its time, I suppose, or there's so much shit going on, that's why it's buggy. That's my explanation anyway. So, the monthly subscription fee for this game, now, I don't really see the point of why they're doing that. Now, if it's a very good game, they don't really need a fee. People be buying cash up like crazy. They'll be buying expansions like crazy. They'll be buying all these said things without a second whim because it's freaking Elder Scrolls, for Christ's sakes, So, again, this is the same example with Final Fantasy XIV, which I'm going to in a little bit here. Now, they wanted to make sure the servers are paid for, some employees are getting some money in their pocket, all that stuff, that's fine. But they should try to do it where it's economy friendly. The people say, oh, the word economy gets thrown out so much. Well, that's because it's true. Some people can barely afford to buy any gold memberships, any PSN Plus memberships, can barely afford to put bread on their table. So they want a little bit of a release. They want a little bit of something they can go online and play for several hours and just become lost in the immersive nature of the game. So that way they can figure out about these woes, which is sort of like a Great Depression, but this time at least we have some Game Boys to rely on instead of sticks and stones, I suppose. But again, these type of games they think are essential towards a great gameplay experience. I'm not saying Elder Scrolls Online's crap mainly because of the monthly fee subscription. Absolutely not. I think it's probably going to do pretty well. Not amazing at first, but pretty damn well. But the monthly fee thing has to go. I mean, if they're going to charge for this game, they need to either make it so you can download it for free, but you have to pay a subscription fee to play it, or, just do it so it's a buy-to-play. Then they do cash up and, things like cosmetics and all that, so you could be like, I don't know, the Daedra Prince or something like that outfit, or but costumes and cosmetics, those sell for a lot, like $1 a piece or whatever. I know friends that will buy the crap out of every single one of those for they're that cheap, without even a second thought. People will be getting these charge cards or whatever else, and just run those motherfuckers to the ground. Just just buying all these said cosmetic items, and this is pretty much the simplicity of it all. Some companies don't think of it like that. It's because their game runs out of substance after a while. It's just because they need to keep their head above water and just think of ways to innovate the game, keep it fresh, keep it interesting, and keep a good cash flow going for the game too. Because I understand completely what goes behind a game. It's just the fact they need to incorporate something that it becomes more appealing to customers, and it's easier for the customers to help out. Because at the end of the day, those cash up items do help out the company a great deal to get bought in bulk and whatever else. But again, they need to think about the customer rather than their own lining of their pockets. That's all I gotta say. I mean, past that, it's probably gonna be a successful game, and we can all dance naked in the streets. Exception to Diablo 3 on PS3 and all those other consoles. The hell with that. So, Final Fantasy is dead, supposedly. Now, this is just my opinion. This is something I'm going to run through here. Now, a lot of folks talk about this in forum posts and everything else in particular, primarily because of Final Fantasy 13 and Final Fantasy 13-2 and Final Fantasy 14. Now, while Final Fantasy 15 is getting a lot of praise, like, oh, this is the best game of all time, this is pretty much the hype machine running, full speed here for some folks. It's, to me, Dead Space has more appeal at the moment, even though Part 3 came out, even though Part 3 is pretty decent, actually, than Final Fantasy at this point. You think, whoa, you just threw out a third-person shooter? Well, here's the point here, right? As many as checks and balances as Dead Space 3 had for when it came to gameplay mechanics and all this stuff, it still has more credibility and room to improve itself over Final Fantasy at this leisure. While I personally liked 13, I didn't have any problem with 13 at all. I liked 12, I liked 11, I liked 13-2. I thought 13-2 was a big improvement over 13. This was, to me, I can see entirely how come people dislike 13. And this is a big money budget thing that Square Enix put through here. Heck, even the economy for Japan isn't doing too shabby. It's doing all right, I suppose, but it's not something that's strong enough for game companies to strive off of. You know, with a lot of situations happening in Japan, you know, it all adds up to a very big uh-oh kind of thing. So, Final Fantasy is dead. That's almost undetermined per se, but it feels that way slightly because of the passion that Square Enix had to be innovative with these games just got thrown out the window. Final Fantasy XIV, you know, they're doing a subscription base in this game. That's how much I guess they're hurting for money. They're charging for the freaking game monthly, and the $30 to $40 price tag on the game too, so the customer gets pretty much the game and you have to pay a fee after a while, which is kind of silly. I don't care if it's $10 or plus. It's just they need to stop this subscription shit, you know. If they want customers, they want people to stay with their product, to be genuine to it, and, you know, get a cash up. Like I said before, there's some people, you use the cash up too much as an example. That doesn't work. It's because you yourself don't buy it. Don't mean it's successful here. But again, I digress. It's Final Fantasy XIV. It's something that can work if they stop playing it safe. Now, with Final Fantasy XIV here, what they're doing is they're pretty much using the same generic MMO experience you see from most free-to-play games out there. They're, however, charging for a monthly fee instead. What you've played Ragnarok Online 2, then go back to play Final Fantasy XIV, you'll see the comparisons right off the bat. You know, obviously, 14 looks a lot more prettier, or more pretty, than Ragnarok Online 2, but again, it's still the same fucking game, you know, there's nothing different. And Ragnarok Online 2 is free to play. So, where's your money going to go to, if you were to pick? The namesake Final Fantasy XIV, or Ragnarok Online 2? I mean, they're practically the same thing. That's all I got to say about that. You know, they pretty much re-scrapped the game and made it a safe MMO. Safe being that they picked elements from other MMOs that people sort of like, but can be easy to manipulate and put into their own, and that's what they did with this game. You know, that's generally all they did with this game. Now, people like this Final Fantasy XIV fiasco, go ahead and enjoy it. I don't really care past that point because, you know, I have my opinion, you have your own. But it's, to me, I don't really want to play this game at all. Is Final Fantasy personally dead to myself? I would say I'm on the fence about that. I want to see in the future, at least 5 years from now, how it's going to turn out, because I really do like the series. I do. Exception to 8. But it's, to me so far, just something that it's just losing its flavor of gum. It's like a pack of chewing gum that you enjoyed for so long, and now the flavor's leaving your mouth. It's just not there anymore. But again, I do hope best things for this company. I hope Square Enix get their ass together and just get this fucking thing off the ground again. Get it on that, get Sid driving that ship, you know. Just get that airship flying in the sky with Sid flying it. That's all I gotta say. So, this is slightly older news, and this is Xenoblade Chronicles. Now, GameStop, of course, got some extra units in the mail. They got this for their stores, and they're starting to sell them for $89.99 a piece, a pop. This is via online price, and I believe the local stores price. I haven't really checked the price in the stores, so anyone can correct me on the in-store prices. Now, this is what happened. This is pretty much a blatant thing of what's going on here. They've seen how much it goes for on eBay, and they charge that price. It isn't because it's supply and demand. It isn't like they got magically a bunch of pre-owned copies, which people are taking these pre-owned copies and selling them on eBay alone. It's practically them taking advantage of the supply and demand fiasco. Because it's pre-owned, they can market whatever the hell they want. If it was a brand new copy of these games, then it would be $50. Right off the bat, that's how much the retail price of the Wii game is, $50. But they added an extra $40 on there and said, if you want this game really that much badly, you're going to pay this price or you're going to go screw yourself. That's pretty much how it is. Now, again, I don't have a major, huge problem with GameStop. I don't. This is me being one of those still people who just dislike GameStop because everyone else dislikes GameStop. I have some sort of appreciation for the store. When I get clearance items, which are like $1 a piece per game, then I'm all happy and shits and giggles. But it's past that point, I don't really shop there. I just don't really shop there at all. I don't have a huge problem with them. I just don't see the point of even shopping there, nor trading my games into this place. People and friends say, oh yeah, trade all your games in there. It's because I have a greater appreciation for certain games out there I own. It's like, I learned in the past, after trading a couple games into them, you don't really get your money's worth at the end of the day. Just for one particular game, you got to trade all these games that have a little bit more value than you think they do, at least trade-wise, and they just say, oh, well, you get the better value. Not really. If I go on eBay and were to save, I don't know, for example, one of these rare games I have on GameCube or Wii, I'd probably get a little bit more than what they're going to give me that $1 for. So I'd rather pay the slight transaction fee that eBay charges and get my money, like a big chunk of money, versus sitting there with my penis in my hand and just going, oh, okay. So, again, I don't really hate the company. I just kind of think this whole fiasco is kind of stupid. They're overcharging for a game that's old now, or slightly old, and they're taking advantage of fans. So, again, I digress. This is sort of makes me shake my head and go, oh well. But let's close this out with something of a depressing situation. God, I feel like I'm CNN or something right now. Microsoft plans to kill games for Windows in July 2014. Now, this is the rumor. CNET, a couple other websites out there have been putting this out, like at least 2 days ago, or they're placing this out, excuse me. The main reason why is, I guess, it's not because it's not making too much money for them, and they want to try to force people to go on their consoles to buy their games now. They realize that their store on the market, when it comes to being on a computer, does not do as well versus Steam, or I wouldn't say Origin as much, but just a lot of the digital distributors out there. So they're just saying, fuck it, we're taking our bags and we're going home. So generally, this is the main thing that goes across my mind. So if you have games that bind or bound to this computer said client, what the hell is going to happen to all those games you own? Are you going to be able to access them anymore? Is there going to be some sort of magical online, no activation required thing for this said client? Because this right here is sort of acidine, I suppose. But at the same time, it's sort of disappointing. It's sort of the fact that most of these companies nowadays don't stick to anything they have anymore. And they pretty much, after a couple of years, hope no one notices and they just flip the switch, so to speak. But, I don't know. Out of all these topics, what do you guys think? I mean, personally, I can give a shit less about the new Diablo expansion. I'm just giving my opinion because someone asked. Elder Scrolls Online, I wish they really didn't do the monthly fee thing, because I do like Elder Scrolls, brain fart and throat dry. Skyrim, I like Skyrim and Oblivion and Morrowind. I like those games, but, having a subscription fee for something to play online is sort of silly. Final Fantasy, I hope they could do better. But at the moment, there's a lot of crappy things going on with them, or at least with Square Enix. Xenoblade Chronicles could do a lot better themselves. They could fix the situation by lowering the price, because honestly, $89.99, that's kind of fucking stupid. And it sucks that the Microsoft Store is closing down, because games for Windows I actually thought was kind of decent. But, again, what can you do? Anywho, take it easy, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and touch my nipples.